Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Circle of Eight podcast, top 5 of the week. I am your host, Devious One. I have to see here alongside with my brothers, with the 12-inch pythons. He is your hero. He is my hero. He's everybody else's hero. What you gonna do when your great American hero, Mike Lopez, run wild on you? That's right. And also have the reputation killer, the social media killer, the media killer of all killers. He can kill your Twitter, your Instagram, your Facebook, even your LinkedIn account. That's like that. That is Mr. Josh Bret Horton. Also, we have the Cardona beaters, the Karen beaters, the Max Kellerman of fucking Circle Debate. Because he goes out of subject every fucking time. Matthew Steamboat.
Edward Scissors hands over there.
I don't know what he's I have no idea what he's doing. And also we're welcoming back our greatest guest. He's the four-time TV champ. That is JT Stahr. Welcome back, brother. Appreciate you for coming back for this top 5. Can't wait to hear yours. So let's go ahead and start this off. So remind you, ladies and gentlemen, this is the top 5 dream matches.
Real fast.
Go ahead.
I have to word you because I word everybody else, but you had stepped out. I don't have a top 5.
Doesn't matter. Just name on top of your head.
Yeah, I tried to come up with one, but you were like, oh, it's not all time. It's who's wrestling right now. And it became a whole big thing because I was like, well, who's wrestling right now who hasn't already wrestled that I would want to see? And it like stumbled into this thing where it was like every time I thought I came up with one, I was like, yeah, they already wrestled like 8 times. And then I was just like, screw it.
Well, I mean, you as our guest, we'll let you mix it up however you like. You can do the past, present, whatever you like. But for us 4, we'll do the current ones. Okay. So, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll save you for last because I would like to hear it. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with Mr. Hero. I want to hear yours. What's going on? Talk to me.
All right. Disclaimer. These people might have wrestled somewhere else in a garage somewhere, so I wouldn't know. But here we go. Number 5. I have Sammy Guevara versus Ricochet. I like those styles, the high flying, the flips, man. I recently saw that clip of Velveteen Dream saying that he could do anything Ricochet could do or better. And then he jumped out of the ring with no hands and from the outside to the outside. And a match between him and Sammy would be pretty cool, man. Number 4 is Darby Allin versus Jeff Hardy. The face paint going on, and the extreme stuff. The coffin drop versus the swanton. Yeah, man, that would be a pretty cool matchup. Extreme Rules, a ladder match, or whatever. That would be a good matchup right there. This next one is an interesting one. I'm pretty sure they wrestled at home or something, or during training. But Bo Dallas versus Bray Wyatt.
What? Brother versus brother?
Brother versus brother.
I'd love to see that too, man. They just need to build old Bo up a little bit more.
That's right. I'm still surprised that hasn't happened. I figured if nothing else, at some point they would just say screw it, reveal that's his brother, have him join the Wyatt family. Especially when
they look just alike. Do you remember when they had him dressed up as his brother when he was with Curtis Axel? He looked just like him.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, he had a little lantern, a little plastic lantern.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Everybody knew that Alexa Bliss was gonna be Sister Abigail, and I was scared they were gonna make Bo Dallas do it. Transgender angle. He was gonna come out in a dress, and everybody's gonna go, "Oh no!"
Oh, my goodness. Imagine. Poor Bo.
Honestly, the first thing I thought, I was like, oh.
They could do something with him like that because his gimmick before when he was Bo Dallas in NXT or stuff like that was kind of similar to Mr. Rogers' Bray Wyatt,
Yeah.
In a way, it was. He could pull it off.
Yeah. I mean,
maybe like as some other like lower level. Like a demon type character, like the Fiend is,
He could pull it off like that. I'm
pretty sure. Yeah, I think that could happen. And obviously as brothers, I'm pretty sure they would have some good chemistry in the ring. So that was my number 3. Number 2 is something that we kind of did see, but not in this way, this version, and that's the Fiend versus the Demon King. I thought that this is where it was going to lead to, but no, it didn't happen. Finn Balor got written off, and no rematch after that. I think both gimmicks could have brought something interesting to the story, and didn't happen. So I would have liked to see that.
The reason why, because Finn was getting married. Finn Balor got married, and he went to his honeymoon.
Oh, okay.
That's why. He got married to a Latina chick. He got married to a Latina sports broadcaster in Univision. I forgot her name, but yeah.
Well, he should have postponed to have that match. I mean, I wanted to see that better. Now, congrats, Finn Balor. And my number one, number one. This goes beyond pro wrestling. This could have gone into the sport of mixed martial arts in the heavyweight division, whether in Bellator or the UFC. This is Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley.
You said that. That's where I knew you were going.
Yes, absolutely, man. Why has this not happened in either sport? It would have been, well, obviously in MMA, different companies, and but WWE has both of these monsters under contract, so and on the same brand, if I'm not mistaken, same. They're both on Raw.
Make it happen.
Yeah, make it happen, because that's money right there, I feel. So there's my top 5. 2 honorable mentions. I would like to see Luchasaurus versus Drew McIntyre.
Oh, okay.
I think Drew is an agile guy for his size, and Luchasaurus also. They're both big men that are able to do things that normally big men don't do as much. So I would like to see something like that happen.
Okay.
And my second honorable mention is an interesting one. I kind of came up with it at last. And this is Sonny Kiss versus Nyla Rose. Because it's
but they're in 2 different divisions, though, right?
I don't think that's matter.
Yeah, I don't think it would matter. I think it would be good storytelling, and it could be something that would probably even catch the mainstream attention. It would cause some headlines, and
I could see it more as a tag team. I think maybe.
Or a tag team. Sure.
Yeah,
kind of fun.
That's the thing, is I think everybody would make that assumption. It's like this openly like LGBTQ whatever characters on the show. Oh, of course they're gonna tag team. It would be so much more compelling to run a story where you assume they're gonna team up, and then one of them's like, nah, and then that starts a whole feud between the 2 of them. I don't know. Just me personally, the stuff.
That'd be kind of cool.
Team them up for a little while and then have one of them turn on them. Like, I don't need you.
Nyla will turn on Sonny Kiss, and then that'll be a match. Why not?
Oh, yeah.
That'd be great.
Book
it. Tony Khan. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Max Kellerman. You're next.
All right. Here we go. Here's my list. I think the mention of Luchasaurus made me want to add some on, but I'll do that another time. I'll save that for another list. So my number 5, Jay Lethal versus Naomichi Marufuji. They're very, these are probably like outside of AEW and WWE. These are like great champions and great workers, and people have held their like Marufuji's has held the Pro Wrestling Noah Championship a bunch of times, and Jay Lethal's held, the Ring of Honor Championship like 3 times. So they're just really cool people to see in the match. Number 4, this is going to be fun because these aren't limited to just one-on-ones, of course, right? Obviously.
No, it doesn't. It could be tag team or whatever you like. Women's, men's.
All right.
Doesn't matter.
TLC is this is probably a TLC match that has to happen before we die. The Briscoes versus the War Kings versus the Young Bucks versus FTR. Tables, ladders, and chairs.
War Kings, right? Wow. Okay.
Oh,
All
yeah.
right.
I see them as like the modern day like Road Warriors, especially since like Road Warrior Animal's like the mentor that they always come with.
Yeah. Again, you know what? That's not a bad idea. I like that. Well, who will win?
We could probably we can give it to the War Kings since they seem to probably get like the least recognition out of all those groups, these days.
Okay. Right.
So number 3, Minoru Suzuki versus Chris Jericho.
What? Why would you want Jericho Suzuki? Does not make sense, but go ahead. Explain to me.
I think especially because like they're the elder statesmen, and just like when Jericho came into New Japan, he was coming in with like the aggression and the brawling and just beating people up and being brutal. I think Jericho even beat up a young lion too. I think he put Shota Umino in the walls of Jericho. So I'm like, and then Minoru Suzuki, he's known for also beating up like slapping the young lion's chest, chopping their chest in the back. So they just to see those two kind of like they're the elder statesmen, just kind of go at it. Seeing those two, maybe those two could bust each other open and get some blood. Suzuki, Chris Jericho, just to see who's the more brutal elder statesman out of the two. Like Suzuki's 50, Jericho's 49. So. We could still see this happen because Jericho still has that New Japan contract. So,
that's true. You never say never.
Number two, Kenny Omega versus Rob Van Dam. RVD is active in Impact right now.
Yeah.
And RVD and Jericho are the same age. I don't know. I really hope we haven't missed the window for this because the Kenny Omega Chris Jericho match was great. I still want to see this happen. Hoping if that magic is there, I'm putting my bet on it because RVD is still working, Chris Jericho's still going. Chris Jericho, RVD the same age, so RVD Kenny Omega might be really fun both on story and in the ring.
Okay, yeah, all right.
But this is another one of those ones where I said, like, I would love if we did this with all time because a RVD prime versus Kenny Omega in his prime, that's way more interesting. And just being like, oh, well, this guy who's, was really, really awesome, and now he's still like, he can still do stuff, but it's not the same as like, 2003 Rob Van Dam or whatever, like late 90s ECW Rob Van Dam versus like a current Kenny Omega.
Yes, I agree 100%. That would be a great match though too. That would be a show stealer right there.
Yeah,
it would be. All right, numero uno.
Number 1. And I'm making this special. I'm adding another thing to this match too.
Okay.
Samoa Joe versus Tetsuya Naito, Hell in a Cell.
Samoa Joe versus Naito, Hell in a Cell.
Hell in a Cell. I'm kind of thinking I want a special guest referee, but I'm not sure who.
Oh my God!
Biggie, why not?
Biggie?
Yeah, sure. He's a ref. Yeah, I don't think that hurt it. So I've got 3 honorable mentions.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna go kind of quick with these. Honorable mentions: Maki Ito versus Britt Baker.
That'll be a good match.
Yeah,
that would be a good one. Maki Ito, she fucking seller, man. She is the MJF of fucking Japan.
There you go. And I just showed Jeff her, and I gotta say, to ReputationKilla, hero of all heroes, she's definitely one to watch over there in the land of the rising sun.
I like her promos. She's killing it over there. I can't wait. She comes to the States. She better go to AEW.
Oh yeah. And guess who she just feuded with? Thunder Rosa.
Yeah.
She actually dropped her title to Thunder Rosa. So another one of my matches, Nick Aldis versus Kazuchika Okada. for the NWA title.
Okay, that's not bad.
I think it's kind of harkened back to like when Masahiro Chono was NWA champion. So they're kind of like that IWGP NWA kind of connection, you know.
Yeah.
Chono and Muda, that kind of thing. It'd be kind of cool to see Okada get the NWA title, just re-establish that old IWGP NWA connection.
Right.
You know. So and this one probably, I didn't really want to have too many repeats because, you know, just because of reasons, you know, because originally I wanted this to be Chris Jericho in this match, but Kota Ibushi versus Jake Hager.
What?
So
no,
both of them have,
what?
Both of them.
What the?
All
right, talk to. That does not gel with me. I'm sorry.
Wait. See this face? See this face?
Yeah. Thank you.
I wanted it to be Kota Ibushi versus Chris
Why
Jericho.
would you put Kota Ibushi and Jake Hager? Does not make sense.
Well, they both have
Explain
MMA.
to me why.
They both have MMA backgrounds.
But that's years ago that Bushi had a fucking MMA background. He hasn't done MMA in like fucking
He always has,
forever.
like, the kicks and the
Was he in
punches
Pride
his
or
arsenal.
something?
I don't think he was even in Prime.
Just a little bit of background.
No.
The main, actually, just because I didn't want repeats, because the main thing is I kind of wanted to see how Jericho would go into like the Golden Lovers storyline with Ibushi and Omega, and it would be like, you know, this would probably just be like another like throwaway underneath that storyline, because really I want to see Jericho.
This is why you're Max Kellerman of this fucking podcast, bro. You mixing shit like this is no. I would not mix this match. I would not make this match at all happen. You're going based on somebody's MMA profile that happened years ago compared to the current one. He's a Bellator. He hasn't done shit yet, but still, like, no. Why would you mix that? That's like horrible. I would not pay to see a match. It'll be bullshit match. Hager will. I think Hager will win. Hager will fucking win because he's a heavyweight, and I think, you know, that's my.
Kenny could get his revenge on him. It's like, you hurt my best friend, you know.
That's like I don't like that storyline. That's no. Just for that, I'm gonna go next, man.
There you
hell
go.
with this shit. I'll give you something. My number 5, I will put Jeff Cobb versus Samoa Joe. That's what I would put. I would put that. Why not? I mean, even though Samoa Joe is not like on his prime, but he's still got it. He can still move, you know, at his level. I mean, at his age, he can still go all the way. And Jeff Cobb, I mean, shit, why not? I think Joe will pass the torch to him. You know, that would be a great match to see, in my opinion.
That would be a great match right there.
I mean, that would be a great match to see. And fuck, I mean, you got two artists. Well, obviously, you know, Jeff Cobb is, you know,
hard-hitting heavyweights right there.
Yeah, hard-hitting heavyweights, 2 clashes, man. I wouldn't mind seeing that at all. That's like for sure my top one, my number 5 right there. The other one I want to see. I'm pretty sure. I'm assuming it happened. I don't know if it did. But I never did. I don't think so. I'm not quite sure. Maybe I've never seen it. Will Ospreay versus AJ Styles. That I would like to see. Will Ospreay versus AJ Styles. I would like to see that. I think that'll be a hell of a match between them.
It did happen, but Will Ospreay's going under what do you call it? He's going under a renaissance. You know, he's building up to becoming a heavyweight. So we're gonna see a very different Will Ospreay in the coming, you know, months, year. So
yeah.
So it did happen?
So did it happen or no?
It did happen, but I'm just saying, like, we should still see it again because Will Ospreay is transforming. So
yeah, definitely. My number 3, just because I know he has that fire in him. The only reason why he doesn't take it out because he's a WWE performer, and that will be obviously Kenny Omega versus Seth Rollins. I wouldn't mind seeing that because, you know, remind you, Seth still got some pretty fucking good moves. Yeah. It's just that he doesn't use them because obviously you're in a sports entertainment, you know, product, so you're not gonna bust all this fucking high flying or these crazy moves he's done in Ring of Honor before, So, but I think he should do it for this match, and why not? And Omega and Rollins does not sound bad. I think that's for me like one of the top. I would like to see that.
There was a Daniel Bryan, Kenny Omega, Seth Rollins match in Ring of Honor, but it was
triple threat match.
Yeah,
but that was very young. All three of them, young Kenny.
Yeah, and they're very different. And all of them were so different. Yeah,
definitely. Speaking of that, and it could happen. I want to see. My number 2 would be Daniel Bryan versus Matt Riddle. It could happen. I want that to happen. I want Matt Riddle and Daniel Bryan. Whoa, why the hell not? I would like to see that. All right. Now my number 1, just to end it and to get it over with, I want to see Okada versus John Cena. That's what I want to see. Why did I say that?
The franchise players.
You have 2 franchise players from different promotion. Okada is like your John Cena of New Japan. Cena was, obviously from WWE. And they've been in the business for a very long time. Numerous titles, holders. And both were, both idolized in their, in the foreign countries. Why not have them feuding who is the best franchise pro wrestler out of all, Why the hell not having John Cena versus, Okada? That'll be a match to see, in my opinion. I don't know how you guys see it, but I think I'm going based upon because of that story, because of the franchise players that they were for their industry, for their pro wrestling industry, and for them to collide, why not,
Is Okada in movies now?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
Not yet.
Just checking. I'm not too familiar with him.
I got to look at the Japanese movie industry and just to see what he appeared in.
He only appears in TV shows and all that. That's why he made special guest appearance. But I never seen him in a movie. Not that I know of. I don't see that on his resume.
Showed you guys the show that Naito appeared on. He just shows up at that restaurant like.
Yeah, I just saw him. I saw that part. So I will have 2 honorable mentions. Okay, this is a tough one for me. I would actually have an Elimination Chamber tag team match. The 6 teams, right? Yeah, it's 16. Oh, yeah, 6 teams, right? I would have, involved in that, I would have the Young Bucks, FTR, Motor City Machine Guns. I would have them involved. I would have, I'm losing myself. So that's 3 teams, right?
Girls of Destiny?
Yes. I will have them involved, Tama, and them. I would have, that's 4, right? There's another one. I just had it in my mind. Shit.
Lucha Bros?
Yes, Lucha Bros 5. There you go. Lucha Bros 5. And the last one, would it be actually the Good Brothers? I wouldn't mind adding the Good Brothers. Why not? That'll be something to see. And I don't know who will win that one. That's going to be tough. But I would mind seeing that. And my other honorable mention, to end this, I want to see the Elite, which is obviously, the Bucks, Kenny, and Hangman versus Undisputed Era. That I wouldn't mind seeing. That would be great to see. And to end it, once and for all there. Those are my picks. So, Mr. Killer, you're next.
All right. Well, I would be number 5 would be it would either have to take place at WrestleMania or Survivor Series. Or if it was the other promotion that won out, it would be All Out, I guess. So it's kind of AEW versus WWE.
Okay.
So in a Survivor Series, let's go ahead and say it would be a Survivor Series matchup. Survivor Series elimination rules. All right.
Okay.
So I got Cody Rhodes, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and Hangman Page. Even though he left, I'd put him back with him for that. And then I'd have them face Triple H and the Undisputed Era.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Could you imagine Cody and Triple H after this whole feud's been going on for years between AEW and NXT, and then this matchup finally happens?
You know what? That does not sound bad at all, because that Triple H will get his revenge after. Really, you're making fun of me with the sledgehammer, bringing the chair and shit. So, hell yeah.
And much more years to go of with this war, and you know, if it ever does end, something like that right there, that match right there could be extremely fucking money making match right there.
Okay.
But
right.
number four, I want to see Santana and Ortiz versus the Usos.
Ooh. That does not sound bad.
I feel like that would be a fucking killer ass match. Those two teams right there. It feels like they're never ever going to face off, but then again, never say never, because I know their contracts are long with their promotions that they're in. At least I know the Usos are. But one day, hopefully, it will happen, man, because just think about it. That was still the fucking card right there. Still the show right there with that tag team matchup.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Hell yeah.
And let's see. Number three, I'm going to go with Tessa Blanchard versus Charlotte.
Ooh.
That right there, that match, it could be a WrestleMania match, man. Definitely could be. Main event, if built right. If built up, the feud between these two daughters of the Four Horsemen, you know, Ric Flair and the Four Horsemen, whatever.
Yeah.
This shit could be great. I mean, I want to see it.
She's a free agent. She's a free agent. She could sign.
Oh, yeah.
She could sign. I don't know.
Possible. I don't think they would, but
I mean,
I feel like they're destined to face off.
Here's the thing. It's one of those things I think people would want to see, but the truth is, I think she already had heat at WWE before any of the other shit popped off. And so this is like extra shit. This is like that shit was stuff that was like, okay, she went over here and got over and became a big star, and maybe that'll make people forget about this. And then a whole new crop of shit popped off that's like, that match happens, it ain't gonna happen at WWE. It's gonna have to be
NXT.
Charlotte gets so fucking big that she decides to leave and go to Japan, or you know, something happens. Maybe she gets pregnant, and so she's like out of her contract. And then after she has a kid, like 2 or 3 years later, she's like, I want to wrestle again. But before she signs the contract, she goes like Japan or AEW or whatever, because maybe Andrade's there at this point. Or, you know, it would have to be one of those fucking things. But at WWE, I don't see it ever happening. And really, actually not. It wouldn't happen at AEW either, because I think they've already kind of proven, like, as far as how they're running their company with, like, they got a lot of LGBT people and stuff like that, and they're against racism. It's like a very like liberal company, like openly liberal.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody with that kind of rep, shit that's already on the table, they're gonna be like, nah, we can't fuck with her. So that's a match that I could only see happening in Japan.
Okay.
Realistically, I could only see it happen in Japan unless Tessa Blanchard gets caught on videotape rescuing a school bus full of toddlers. Unless she does, like, it, she would have to do some shit, and they would all have to be black and Jewish transgender 8-year-old. Like, she would have to do some serious shit before her reputation would flip the other way, where they'd be like, oh, she's changed. Like, it would have to be some, like, yeah, I think WWE would be too afraid of it. AEW.
Well, it depends on her dad. Like, her dad might like, hey, bring my daughter in.
Her dad has heat. Yeah. Her dad has mad heat everywhere. There's a reason, like, when you talk about the best wrestlers ever who never won a world championship, Tully Blanchard is pretty high in that list.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have that belt because of shit he did. Like, even the people that are friends with him, like, you hear Arn Anderson and them in, like, interviews, they're like, oh, yeah, totally fucked up. Tully did this, Tully did that. Like, dude, when they just, the shorthand is it like he had drug problems, that lets you know how bad the shit he did on drugs was. That they just said, he had problems with drugs. Like they didn't go, well, one time he did this and then he slapped this lady and then they're like, he did a lot of drugs. Like that's shorthand for he did a lot of extra horrible shit. And we're just gonna let you know why it happened and hope that's enough. Because otherwise somebody might come after him.
Okay. All right.
Like, there's a reason he's that loud about his religion now. Like, that's same as Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels did such horrible shit. He's got to be like, hey, I'm about Jesus now. Hey, Jesus, remember that time you, Jesus? Hey, didn't you, Jesus? I love him now. I'm different.
Cornette says like he's born again, but I wasn't in favor the first time or something.
But yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that match. You never say never. We'll find out.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
All right. Number two. I'm gonna go with I'm not for sure if this match has happened yet, but I know it hasn't happened in WWE at least. So I'm gonna go with Switchblade, Jay White versus Seth Rollins.
Ooh.
I like this one.
All right.
That match, I feel like that could be a main event right there. Definitely a big time main event.
I'm a bit of a Switchblade fanboy. I was just thinking about that. Like I was getting out of the car. I was just like, yeah, I gotta breathe with the Switchblade. That's the only way I gotta
Where would you think that it would best take place at? New Japan or WWE?
New Japan. It'll sell out right there. New Japan better.
Yeah,
not
that would be a
not
big
WWE.
title match right there too for the IWGP title one day. If that wasn't,
cool.
yeah, that'd be a badass dream match.
Yes, that would be a fucking hell of a match. I think Jay White will win that one for sure. That's how I see it.
Oh man, just
All
thinking
right.
about it, man, gives me goosebumps.
Yeah.
All right, number one. We haven't had any triple threats yet, right?
No.
Nah.
All right, so I'm going to go with Kenny Omega versus AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan in that 60-minute Iron Man matchup at WrestleMania
There we
for
go.
the world title. For the WWE title, I should say.
I like that. Interesting. It's three
And
different
if I
styles of wrestling, but hell yeah.
Has there been a three-way Iron Man match yet?
No.
No, I don't think so.
See, I like that concept because it makes the three-way a little bit more interesting because then it's like you don't lose a title because somebody else got pinned. It's like, no, it's just like however many times you can pin somebody. And then there's a whole thing of like in a three-way where you try and like if you're a heel, you try and back up a little bit and let them fight and let them wear themselves out and shit. But you got to also be careful that they don't end up fucking around and getting some pins in. So like you got to try and break those up to get the fuck out the way.
And that's interesting.
There's gonna be a fatal four-way Iron Man match.
There's a fatal four-way Iron Man match.
Oh yeah. But I've been mentioning this one for a while, haven't I? You remember?
Yeah, I remember that in the archives.
Yeah.
Archives,
In the archives, ladies and gentlemen. But oh yeah, I got some honorable mentions. Karrion Kross versus Randy Orton. Of course, that's one of them.
Yeah.
And let's see. Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley. Mike said that. Yeah, I want to see that. I also want to see Roman Reigns versus The Rock. Now that Roman Reigns is heel, if he is heel, I mean, this is time now to do that. Would be perfect timing.
This will make it happen, bro. Those are his two bitches that he loves. Oh my God, Roman Reigns, Rock. Okay, he's gonna make it happen.
One more would be Roman Reigns versus Tama Tonga. I don't know why, I just want to fucking see it.
You know what? Yeah, that'd be cool because
I've seen a back and forth feud. I've seen
Samoan
Tama
Dynasty
Tonga write
going
some
at
shit
it.
on Twitter.
Yeah, they've been like feuding on Twitter. I don't know if they're like trying to get your boy a job. He's just like, all right, like let's just talk some trash on Twitter if it gets enough heat. I mean, like it's not like I can't get out of a Japanese contract to go to WWE for a little while. Like if anything, they'll probably be like, good. It'll be publicity.
Yes.
Even if you lose, as long as he has a good match with him, that's more high profile than what he's doing in Japan right now. I mean, no offense to what he's doing in Japan, but like
he's not doing shit. He's just only right now because he's in the States. So they're right now they're doing Japan is doing a lot of strong style USA. So that's what they did. He competed in that tournament. Oh, and now his other younger brother, I think, is now part of the Bullet Club. What's his name, Matt? The younger brother?
Ikaleo
now is there.
Yeah.
He came out. I'm like, oh, shit. All right.
He's really tall. He's like super tall.
But he sucks. He moves like shit. I'm just saying right now.
That's a lot of big dudes. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, and don't get me wrong, it's not even just wrestling. I mean, it's like martial arts is like that. You know what I mean? It's just there's something to be said for being big, but in wrestling, it's like because they know it's an advantage, they make it more of an advantage than it is. There's a lot of those big ass dudes still get knocked the fuck out.
True. That is very true, especially in the MMA world. Especially in the MMA world. Yep.
They look scary. That's great in wrestling.
Yeah, that's why Vince likes big men.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Don't know why. But God, horrible.
Great Kali.
Well, unless you're Lars Sullivan, who we haven't seen in a while.
Oh my God.
Dude, that is hands down one of the funniest bits of news I ever saw in wrestling. Because if you ask anybody in wrestling, nobody's surprised. It's the type of shit you expect to happen in wrestling. But it's still the level of the timing that that shit came out. No pun intended.
Mm-hmm.
That shit is hilarious. To me, that was hilarious. And then they started popping up all the old pictures of him just.
Oh my God.
Oh, Mitch Bennett.
Oh, bruh.
Oh, man.
Oh my God. That's why he hasn't been back forever, huh? I don't think we're going to see him anytime soon.
I don't think he wants to come back, man.
I'm if he's still under contract, I'm actually surprised because
they would have let him go when they let all those other people go.
Yeah, they cut a lot of people. It would be weird that they cut all those people, and of all the people they kept was this dude who really wasn't all that great, hadn't been there that long, and really the whole gimmick they had for him is crushed by that news. That's not even on a level of you can take him serious or whatever, but the gimmick they gave him, it doesn't work with that. You have to shift left.
Yeah,
because it's not on brand.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work. You got to go another way.
Hey, talk about a fuck up though, man. He was about a feud with John Cena and debut on the main roster, and supposedly face Cena at WrestleMania, and then all that shit came up.
You know what though?
He hasn't been seen since.
But here's the thing, though. You know where he really tapped himself is because he talked all that shit. He was talking shit on Twitter about gay people. So it was that's where you really screwed you. That almost, honestly, I think would have gotten him more over in a sense. Aside from the fact that he was doing movies or whatever, that could have actually gotten him more over. Because really, they ain't had a publicly out dude like that in WWE since Darren Young. And Darren Young was a dude they wasn't really fucking with that. It could have been more over than the gimmick they gave him, because I feel the worst gimmick you can have coming in as a big dude is just that you're big and unstoppable. Because all that happens is you okay, they build you up to feud with whoever's the champion. You smash, you squash everybody till you get to Cena because he's got the belt, and then he beats you for the belt, and then you move your way down. You do the same thing in the mid-card division. You do it with the Intercontinental Champion, and then the Intercontinental Champion beats you. And then you got nothing else. Your whole gimmick was you were undefeatable, and now you've been defeated, and you're just kind of fucking there. And usually you go to a comedy gimmick. Think about it. Great Khali did that. Kozlov did it. Rusev did it. Heidenreich did it. Because their whole thing was oh, who can fucking take this guy? And then afterward, it's all right, well, you don't have a gimmick anymore. If your gimmick is that you can't be beat, because eventually you're gonna fucking get beat. So at least with that, they could have worked some angle about him being the first, even though he wouldn't have been the first. People know about Patterson now and shit like that. But they could have made a thing out of it. They could have Glad got behind Billy and Chuck, and that was some goofy comedy shit. He could have ended up going on. He could have done some shit with it, and instead it went the other way, and now he's kind of fucked. And because he said the homophobic shit, AEW's probably not gonna pick his ass up.
Nobody is. I don't think nobody will pick his ass up. I think he just quit pro wrestling.
I could see maybe him going to Japan, just because they're like very far removed from like what we give a fuck about culturally. And he was in WWE, but I don't know if he was in WWE long enough for them to give a fuck.
No, they'll treat him as a young lion. He'll start like as a young lion. He won't get a top star he won't get a top star push because he wasn't known, only shortly. They'll treat him as a young lion. They're like, no, you're gonna start from the bottom all over. So you fuck now. Yeah. You're not gonna be a star here in Japan. You're gonna be a young lion setting up the fucking ring and everything else, bro. You're not. I'll give a damn if you're a big guy. Give a fuck. You're gonna start all over. I mean, that's how. See,
that's the other thing too. A lot of those dudes who came up in the WWE system ain't down to do that shit because they started. Like I said, it's different if you came up wrestling in high school gyms and shit. Like, I've wrestled in front of thousands of people, but I've wrestled in front of like 12 people. Like, I've done that before. So like for me, it's like if you went to that, or like I would probably help with the ring anyway. But if you're a motherfucker that like, your television debut was in front of like 30,000 people or like damn near 100,000 people, that's what you're used to. Like you probably can't go to some other shit and not be treated like whatever. You can be like, fuck you. Like, no. They just can't. A lot of those people can't. Like, they go to TNA and get pissed.
He's gonna have to eat shit and like it though, or his career's over with. I mean,
I think go back to the porn movies, bro. That's it. So you can.
I was gonna say that's the other thing though. Is like a lot of people. It depends on whether or not it was really their dream, because that's the thing you have to deal with more with a lot of the bigger dudes. And this isn't everybody, because for a lot of them, it's their dream. It's what they've worked for. I don't take nothing away from anybody's work. But some of those dudes, some of them were like, man, I've dreamed of being a wrestler my whole life. And some of them were like, yeah, I'm big as fuck, and somebody walked up to me and told me I can make some money doing this shit. And if you're like, hey, yeah, I was like a college basketball player. This wrestler worked out of my gym. We got to be cool. He said, you should come in. You should do this, whatever. That dude probably ain't trying to fucking go somewhere and set up a ring. Like, he's like, dude, how much are you paying me? What are we doing? Like, you go to Japan and they hit harder. He's going to be like, the fuck is this? Like,
China learned the hard way. Yeah. China learned the hard way. She went to the training. She got her ass whooped in the training. They beat the shit out of her so bad. She kept crying, but she never gave up. She never gave up. And they gave her props. Like, all right, you could take all this beating. And she got her ass whooped. And then, bam, we saw her on television. Started wrestling in Japan. She's the first female to do it for New Japan. No other female has done it.
Yeah,
she's the only one has done it, and I give her a lot of credit. Rest in peace, by the way, China. Yeah. But that woman, it's tough woman, man. Hell yeah. So now starting with your top 5, Mr. JT Stahr. What we got?
Again, don't have one.
Yeah, that's
but mix it up.
Like I was thinking of stuff, and then it was like everything was all okay. This guy from this generation, or this guy from this generation.
You can mix it up however you want.
See, the thing is, if I'd done that, I would have already written this stuff down. Now I'm just like, top of my head, I don't know.
Top of your head, man.
Like it's just random matches. I'm trying to think of some of the people. Like, there's a few people in WWE now that are wrestling that I'm like, it would have been interesting to see them wrestle somewhere else, like outside of the WWE system, if maybe that match would have gone different if it had been in a different system. Like, there's some people, like I think Randy Orton is going to wrestle a Randy Orton match regardless. Like, if you send him to Japan, he's not going to do shit different. He's going to be like, fuck you. And it's fine because his matches are awesome.
Yes.
But
who would you have against Randy Orton?
I mean, anybody. I think he's a real solid worker. As much as, like, I know he pisses people off because he makes fun of a lot of the indie shit. I don't know. I like his work. Let me see. What would be some interesting matchups? I wouldn't mind. But see, then I'm like, all right, should it be like make it a 4-way or whatever? Like, I'd like to see like a young Rey Mysterio Jr., like ECW Rey Mysterio, like before all the injuries and everything, when he could still just like he wasn't hurt yet.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see him in Amazing Red.
Oh,
Like
yes.
Amazing Red in his prime, just to like see what they would do.
That'll be great. That's
I can
good.
see that being like a real good match, or even a tag match with like those two versus like say AJ Styles and Low Key.
Oh, yes.
Like, I can see that being real interesting.
Solid TNA stuff.
Yeah. Like there's a lot of those matches. Like I'd love to see.
So what was the name as your number 5? So now you got number 4.
Okay, I don't know, Dean Ambrose and Roddy Piper.
Really?
Yeah, put them in a barbed wire match, something like that.
Roddy Piper's gonna do some cool jaw jacking. He's gonna be like,
Just some crazy brawl type of thing.
Roddy's selling would be great for in it though. It would be Roddy would sell like a mofo in that match, and he'd be jaw jacking the whole time. Like I want the
That'd
camera to get a shit
match.
off.
That would be.
Like I said, like the promos on that match would be phenomenal. The build up to whatever goes into that match, and then the brawl would be good. Like I said, I would just make it some sort of hardcore or like a dog collar match or something. I would leave it to brawling.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. I'm trying to think of some other like weird things that are just popping in my head randomly.
This is so fun.
I had one that was in my head, and then I stopped to think about that Piper and that Ambrose in like barbed wire, or maybe a dog collar match or something like that. Who else would be a weird?
Something with Sabu or something.
No, I just had it just blanked in my head. I'm like, this sucks. Like I want to like pause real fast, so I'm like,
ain't no Latino heat in there, are they?
No,
that's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. All right,
Eddie.
Here we go. Fabulous Freebirds versus New Day. Seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah,
seems like a no-brainer. Seems like it would be a fun match.
They inducted him in the Hall of Fame too.
Yeah, or I would even say take those two teams and who else was I thinking about? Is a trio, the Dudleys with
all three of them.
With Spike Dudley, TLC match, 3 tag teams. TLC.
Wow. That's good. That one. Good. I like that one.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Although I feel like there needs to be a team that's a little bit more high flying. Like Kofi's gonna do some dope shit, but I feel like Spike will get thrown onto somebody.
Poor Spike.
You can maybe throw the Hardys in there with somebody, or let me see, what's another?
The Hardys with Shannon Moore.
That was just like 3 count. Just like, I think of like another crazy. Yeah, but the Hardys with Shannon Moore would be good. Yeah, whatever. I don't know. Let's see.
All right, so that'll be your number 3.
No, here was another one I was thinking of. They could legitimately like now, because before I was saying like, okay, Awesome Kong and like Asuka, but Awesome Kong and Charlotte Flair. I can see that being a pretty good match.
Wow, interesting.
I can see that being a damn good match. And that seems like with their styles and everything, I don't feel like it's something that like, oh man, you got one more year and then you can't do it anymore. Like, because like I said, a lot of the people that I would want to see, it's like, well, there's only going to be so many more years they're wrestling. So you only have this much longer. And then it's like the other people that are like, that might have had the best match with them are so young now that you're not going to realize that they should have had a match with them until this guy retires or whatever. You know what I mean? It's very much a generational changing of the guard happening right now, to where even the guys that when I was, because like AJ Styles was wrestling before I started. I'm over 40 now. Even if I think we're kind of around the same age, because I started at like 24, I started later. It's still like those dudes aren't going to be, and if they are wrestling, they're not going to be doing the stuff that they were doing 10 years ago. It's right. The older you get, the more it's going to kind of ramp down. I mean, he's a really good worker, so he doesn't have to like do flips or whatever, but it's still, I don't see him like wrestling another 10 years. I don't see AJ Styles being 50 doing the flying forearm or whatever. And I'm pretty sure he's like married with kids, so I know he wants to see him grow up and shit. Like I don't, you know. And even if he does, that's just gonna make him like the Brett Favre of wrestlers. I don't see the whole crop of them doing it. I don't see like 10 years from now, AJ Styles is still wrestling, and so is Samoa Joe, and so is, you know, Randy, and this guy, and this guy, and this guy. I'm like,
Right.
there's going to be a couple of them left, and that's it. Jericho's not going to be 60 years old, you know, break the walls down. Like, he's not going to fucking.
He's not like Ric Flair, just keeps going and going.
No, Jericho will do it.
Jericho's going to be commentary, man. That's what he needs to do when he gets older.
Yeah, like, I can see a lot of those guys popping up for one match every now and again. Like, they might kind of do the Undertaker thing, like, all right, well, I'm going to pop up once or twice a year and try and have a match with it. But I don't see them being like, yeah, I'm just going to keep fucking going. Like, it's not, and your body can't handle it.
I see AJ retiring with WWE. He's going to stay. He's going to be a coach, a mentor somewhere and along the line.
Oh, yeah, he'll definitely, I think he'll go to be like a road agent or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Like, there's certain people I definitely think will stay behind the scenes or at the very least be like an NXT trainer. Actually, I could see him doing that more than anything just because, like I said, he's a family type dude.
Yeah.
I would see him wanting to be like, okay, I can stay in this one place, train these people. I can see my kids every day. And if I do get the itch to wrestle every once in a while, like I still work for the company, I can pop up and do it.
Exactly. I think Vince will not let him go because Vince knows that this motherfucker draws money, and he still does it to this day. He does put on great matches. I don't think Vince will let him walk. Vince will give him a greatest price and give him the easiest schedule of all time.
Give him a blank check.
You know, he'll give him a blank check. Tell me what you want. How many days off do you want?
I don't know if he has that much value in AJ Styles. I think AJ is there because somebody like Triple H put more value in AJ Styles.
I agree.
I think there's a little bit of that in there because like it seems kind of obvious what Vince likes versus but you know what I mean, like whereas like Triple H is all about people's work rate and oh look at how awesome this guy is. You see what happens, they go to the main roster, Keith Lee gets pulled up and everybody's like, oh dude, this Keith Lee guy, and Vince is like, oh well, you know what, I'll tell you what, how about we just drop his last name, just call him Keith, and we'll put a shirt on him, and we'll do like it's almost like he's like, how much can I do to not make sure this guy doesn't get over? It's like, this dude everybody loves, let me change everything about him humanly possible. It's like, okay, are you really going to have a heavyweight champion named Keith? Just Keith?
Doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
It makes perfect sense. I wouldn't put nothing past him. It makes perfect sense if you never plan on giving this guy a title or doing shit with him. It's like, oh, you know, no, we'll put him in a fucking program with Randy Orton. He's gonna lose immediately. Where's Randy? Like it's just.
Oh, well, let me ask you this: what about? Okay, let me ask you this. Off the subject with that, and I apologize. So, all right. So what match that you dreamed of actually that you said Eddie's your favorite wrestler, right? You said Eddie Guerrero, right?
I won't say any one wrestler is my favorite.
But one of your favorites, right?
Yeah, but Eddie Guerrero was definitely pretty huge. And one of my biggest regrets in wrestling, if I had started training maybe a few months earlier, I would have gotten to train with him.
Oh, man.
Because HWA was developmental.
Yes.
And my whole thing was I even had the money to start, but I wanted to make sure I had enough money to pay it all the way off because I was afraid that something would happen and I wouldn't be able to keep up payments and I'd have to stop training. So the way I saved up money, like he was there and I didn't even know. And then just after he left, I started like, here I go. And then like one of my favorite wrestlers ever is like, they're like, oh yeah, we learned this. Like Eddie Guerrero taught us. And I was like, oh, when did you guys meet Guerrero? Oh, he left last week. Fuck you. Fuck you. He was like, dude, he was there. I think like he left like right before I got there. Fucking Benoit, except Benoit came back to visit a couple times when I was still there. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to, because of the whole controversy of everything that happened.
We had the discussions. We only talk about his professionalism. We don't.
Yeah,
talk about
but as far as professionalism, like I do have a Benoit story that this is how dope and whatever Benoit was. This is after the contract is gone, whatever. He's just still friends with Cody, who runs the place. So they're in town to do a show. So him and Jamie Noble just wanted to get in the ring and work, like just work on stuff. This dude is already he's been heavyweight champion. He's a big deal in the company, and he's still showing up to fucking practice. He just wants to get in the ring and work out. And we had more than one ring. So we're in one ring, and we're trying to do stuff, but I'm looking over, and him and Jamie Noble, I'm like, dude, that's Chris Benoit, Jamie Noble. There's a fucking ring. Like, they're fucking right there. And they're chain wrestling, and they're working, but on a level where you kind of weren't sure if they were shooting for real, if they were actually, grappling, or if it was like they were working on some work shit. I did jiu-jitsu for years, so it's not like I don't know what shit looks like. I'm like, it looks like they are for real, like they're working on their ground game, for real. But then I'd see little wrestling stuff slip in there. I'm like, or are they working? Like, the fact that I wasn't sure just shows you how dope they were. But I remember this ring, they started, and there was like a pool of sweat in the middle of the ring where they were wrestling, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger until the entire fucking canvas had changed color with just their sweat.
Fuck.
So it just went gray to dark gray. They just worked the whole time. And we're just in there practicing. I think I'd even asked Benoit if I could roll with him because, like I said, I do jiu-jitsu and stuff too. And I remember he was like, all right, well, just got to finish over here. And then by the time we got finished, they were done. And I was just like, ooh. But yeah, that was my Benoit story. But I'm a big proponent of separating the art from the artist.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I separate that.
A lot of people want to say that, but I'm like, regardless of whatever, Thriller is still the shit, whether Michael did any of that shit or not. Fucking Gandhi was a super racist, but I'm not going to act like he was a fucking idiot, or his philosophies were. You know what I mean? He had some good ideas.
Yep.
He had some bad ideas, too. He fucking hated black people. He fucking openly. You can look it up.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I didn't believe it at first. I'm like, what?
Dude, he was friends with Hitler.
I know.
Legitimately friends with Hitler. There's a famous letter that he wrote to Hitler when, Hitler was, being Hitler. And he's like, dude, just maybe calm down a little. I don't think you need to be that mean. That's a thing that happened.
I can't believe that.
There's a legit letter you can look up that Gandhi wrote to Hitler. Hey, dude, man, long time no speak, man. I mean, it's almost the equivalent of, a friend you see on, Facebook that's just getting a little too militant. And you're like, dude, really? Just put the AK down. You don't need to go shoot protesters. This shit is gonna click. It's literally what it came down to. So I'm like, and I'm sure it's different for people who fucking knew his family and everything. I mean, it fucking sucks.
Oh yeah.
I feel bad for his kids. Being murdered and then also having to deal with the fact your dad's murdered and everybody knows it, and it's a whole lot. So
yeah, man. Then his son, we will see him in the ring soon. I cannot wait.
But like I said, again, that's gonna be another thing because it's if you're somebody famous's kid, you already have that whole thing where you're in their shadow when you start, right? So, if you're Michael Jordan's kid, you can be really good at basketball, but unless you're not only better than him, but way better, you're always going to be, well, he ain't fucking Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? So you already got that if everything was good. Now you have that on top of, your dad did this horrible fucking thing. And so anytime they see you, it reminds them of him. Plus, you want to use his fucking name. That's important to you to use your fucking name. So that's even more it's everything is against that dude. There's going to be some people that are going to say bad shit about his dad, and then he's going to take it a certain way. And that's going to be a rough one.
Yeah, I don't
think we're going to see him in the ring. I don't think we're gonna see him in the ring. I really don't. He's already on like 27, and he's not even training anymore.
He stopped training. I think he stopped.
Especially with that name. He's not. You know.
Yeah, it's
sad. It sucks because it has nothing to do with him, you know.
Jeff, have you encountered a lot of like people? Have you wrestled people that have come from wrestling families? You know, like because I mean, you have your Von Erichs, you have your Harts, you have your
a
so
little
many
bit.
people.
It's like I've dealt with. I haven't like wrestled them, but like I met the Harts at a Cauliflower Alley, like in Vegas. Like I was actually supposed to like go wrestle in Calgary at the time, and I think it was like that trip because I was talking like Bruce Hart, and he seemed to like me, and I was like, oh dude, this guy's like really fucking cool, and like I've always wanted to wrestle with his family and Stampede, and then my house got broken into, and I had to deal with all that shit.
Damn.
But like I met them, they were really nice. It's weird because I never like a lot of them. You don't think of it as being like a generational thing. Like Roman Reigns' brother, a lot of people don't realize this. Rosie and Jamal. Yeah, that was his brother. So like that was a homie. Like that was my boy. And even though he's part of that wrestling dynasty, that family, I never thought of it. It was just like that's Matty. Like I was more like, oh yeah, Matty. Like and Matty wrestled in the family. I wasn't thinking like, oh, you're related to The Rock and all this shit. It was just like, no, it's fucking Matty. I know your fucking kids and shit. Like I'm not. You don't think about it as much when you know people as you do when you like see them on TV or whatever. Like there's that initial bit of like, holy shit, I just met somebody, and then like when you know them, you're just like, oh, it's just like a dude I know. Like half the time you fucking forget, like you don't even like really think about it. Especially if you're me, like I'm terrible at that. I don't use my resources. Like I'm just now at this age, like looking up at a lot of the people I know and going, you know what, I need to start like calling this guy and trying to do this thing because like I have this and this, like this guy knows how to do this. Like there's a whole thing now, everybody's looking for like content and shit, and I'm like, oh yeah, like I have all these projects I could pitch and I didn't know where to like pitch them, and I'm like, why don't I just call like my cousin's an actress who's like she's doing well. I'll put it that way. You know what I mean? Like you probably seen her in like a million things and you're like, oh yeah, I know who that is. She's like everybody's black best friend or whatever, real pretty. Tiffany Hines, you can look her up or whatever, Google. But yeah, it was like, yeah, she knows all these people, like we can pitch here. And like one of my friends, he's a storyboard artist for like Bob's Burgers and all those shows. Like he's done all these animated shows. And I'm like, why don't I fucking talk to him about like how to apply the right way and stuff. Like all this time I just been working other places. It's like he like sent me a whole thing where he's like, oh no, if you do this like this and this is what they're expecting to see. And I was like, oh shit, I can do that. I didn't, but like you have to actually, I mean, I'm like way off subject now. I tend to ramble, but yeah, it's yeah. The original question was like if I wrestled anybody in wrestling families. Yes, I have.
There you go.
Long-winded answer.
The number one was, I think was.
What number one is like? Name one dream match that you wanted it to happen. Like, I don't know if you ever had one when you were a kid or during the time when you were. Oh, imagine having this.
I think most of the stuff happened eventually, but usually the stuff you really want to happen ends up being disappointing anyway. And it's the stuff you don't expect to be awesome that's awesome. Like, when I was a kid, the stuff that we were waiting for was like, dude, if Freddie and Jason fought. And then eventually the fucking movie happens. If Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair went at it, and then all of a sudden it fucking happens, and you're like, oh.
95.
Right.
Was that Starrcade 95 or 93 or 94?
Yeah, but when it finally happened, you were just like, oh.
It sucked.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It sucked.
You thought it was going to be this worlds collide shit, and it was like, yeah.
They had the opportunity to do it at WrestleMania. What was it, 8? They had the opportunity. But no, they fucking switched it around. I mean, no disrespect to Randy Savage, but I'm just saying they switched it around. That would have been a great, main event. Had Hogan and Flair. That would have made more sense. But they switched the script around, had Savage Flair, and then had Sid Justice with Hogan, which that was the most horrible match of all time.
Here's one of the biggest problems with wrestling. It sucks because most people don't see this behind the stage, but it's the politics. Because with any other, and I mean, it does happen with other television shows. I mean, I'm sure it probably happened with Friends or whatever, but sometimes what should happen won't happen because somebody just doesn't like somebody.
So give either that, like we could have had Sting Taker, but no, I don't know what the fuck happened there. Vince fucking switched that shit up.
Austin and Goldberg.
No, it wouldn't make sense, Austin and Goldberg. Nah.
See, honestly, I don't even get
I don't know. I would have wanted to see it back in the day.
At their primes, maybe like circa 97, 98.
I think Austin and Goldberg could have worked just because, like, Austin's so good, and I think Goldberg would have listened to him and let him put the whole match together, which meant it would have been good.
Oh, yeah.
Those two seem to get along, too.
I would agree. I would agree and disagree. Because why disagree? Because I think Goldberg would have fucked up. He would have just been like, "Oh, he's he'll overhype because of the fans, and then he won't follow the script that Austin gave him."
See, that's the thing, though. From what I've seen of Goldberg, if he fucks with you and he respects you or whatever, he'll do like that's the reason people were like so mad about the match he had with William Regal. Because they were like, oh, it's Regal. So he just listened to everything Regal told him to do. And Regal was like, you fucking idiot. but like, I think he would have just fucking done it because he would have, like, dude, what are you going to do? Like, argue with Austin and then be like, oh, I know more than fucking Steve Austin does. People would have been like, you fucking dummy. Yeah. I think he would have gotten in the ring and he would have just been like, man, just tell me what to fucking do. And he would have fucking done it. And as long as Austin didn't hate his guts and wasn't trying to make him look bad, it would have been an awesome match.
It's like Bret Hart. Bret Hart fucking, I'm pretty sure Bret Hart broke him down the match until Goldberg retired his ass when he gave him that kick in the head. And that's why what do you think what Bret Hart said? He's like, oh, Goldberg is the unsafest, worker in the ring. For him to say that, like, that's a bold statement. But it made why? Because he ended up retiring. But I think Bret still has that grudge. Like, motherfucker, you retired. Because of your stupid ass didn't follow instructions, you gave me a kick in the fucking head. Did not instruct me, ahead of time.
Yeah. See, I think the difference, though, too, I think between Steve Austin and Bret Hart is also quality of opponents. I think Steve Austin has had to wrestle worse guys, whereas I think Bret Hart maybe got spoiled to where, like, they were better guys that he had to work with.
Mr. Perfect, Yeah,
because I think maybe because this happens. This totally happens, right? There's a level of, like, one of the other reasons I stayed going to practice every day is because I just figured, well, when new guys get on shows, I want to know what this guy can and can't do and all that stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, there were situations where there were guys who weren't very good, and I still had really good matches with them. And the reason I had good matches with him is I already knew, oh, he can't do this. He'll agree to it because he doesn't, but he's not going to do it well. And somebody else who's been wrestling on the show, who's only been wrestling people who have been on shows, is going to get in the match with this guy, and he's going to be like, oh, you know how to do this? Yeah. And then the guy's going to do it and fuck up and hurt him. And then he's going to be like, what the fuck did you do? Because some people, it's just like their thing. They don't want to tell you, like, oh, I'm not good at this, or I'm, what I mean? They're just going to fucking try it and fuck it up. I feel like Steve Austin has probably had to wrestle more dudes who are shitty to where he would have, like, covered for Goldberg a little bit more, whereas, like, Bret Hart comes from, like, these great technical wrestlers and mostly wrestled those dudes in WWE and then went to WCW and just wrestled this giant roided out dude, fucking kicked him in the head and fucked him up.
Yeah, that's pretty much what he did. But no, Bret Hart had good matches in WCW. I did like him. I did like him in Booker T. I enjoyed that. That wasn't that bad.
Again, Booker T, great wrestler.
Yes,
good.
Very different style though. Different style,
different style. But like, if you look at like his matches with Benoit and shit like that, like Booker T is Yeah, he is a solid technical wrestler. Like, he doesn't get credit for it. He gets known as like a striker or whatever, a power wrestler. But he's a good technical wrestler. I think he was like, Goldberg is not a technical wrestler. And I think he went in there thinking like, well, this guy's a big star. He's probably, this is just his gimmick. But we can do this. And it was like, no, he can't.
That was your Mongo number 2 at the time before he got he improved.
I gotta say, like one of the other main things is how well Stone Cold and Goldberg get along, because those two, they like, I listen to their podcast together and they just shoot the shit, like talking about cars and stuff. And then even Goldberg says, "Dream opponent you never got to face," and Goldberg's like, "You," and he says it like dead in the face of Austin. And I thought that moment was kind of cute. So I don't know. I like. I think I even more. I just like to watch those two hang out and eat barbecue together. the bald bearded guys, the bald bearded Southerners TV show.
See, I think the greatest missed opportunity is the man who should have ended Goldberg's streak. If it wasn't going to be Jericho, should have been Gilbert.
Who's first? Just
the surprise upset, like 1, 2, 3 kid victory. Just coming wins. Just looks around.
Oh my God!
Jeff, it's the world's tallest midget.
Oh my God!
I love that.
I miss Gilbert. I miss Gilbert and Ralphus.
Ralphus needs to appear on it. You heard it here first. Tony, bring Ralphus. Find out where he is.
That's one of the greatest stories I've ever heard in wrestling. And then when I heard that he got an ego, it's so much better. Of all of you, Ralphus got a big head and that it was a huge star. Demanding more money.
Wow.
So when are we going to New York, Chris? That was like he was like a truck driver. I mean, yeah, I want to see more Ralphus. I really do.
Goodness.
Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and close this out for this top 5. So just, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. And don't forget that the next week, so we're giving you the heads up, JT. We're doing top 5 dream factions that you will create. I mean, male, female, however you like. So that's something that you can take. Obviously,
that's something I can do.
There
can
you
it be
go.
Of all time, or does it have?
Yes, for you will be the all time. For us will be the current.
Okay.
So we'll give you the all time. For us will be the current. So that's definitely for sure. We'll do that next week, and that's gonna be. I'm looking forward to hear that. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and also don't forget to follow our brother from another mother, JT Stahr. Hopefully, we'll see his return to the ring soon. Maybe 2021. Maybe.
Yeah, if they start doing shows again.
I know, right? Maybe so. You never know, but never say never. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is Ivan C. The Devious One saying buenas noches with a great American hero, Mike Lopez, John ReputationKilla, Valkillas, and Max Killerman, who made a fucking match between Kota Ibushi and Jake Hager. What the fuck is wrong with you?
I wanted it to be Jericho versus Kota Ibushi, but there you go.
All right, we're saying, and JT Stahr saying good night. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.